What's up, Preston Outdoors fans? Once again, it's another week and another vlog Monday. Now today we got a really late start going. I was up about 6, 7 o'clock this morning, and we had, I don't know how much rain we got down here in Texas where I'm at around Lake Fork, but it's been downpouring all morning since about 5, 6 o'clock this morning till about 10, and there's lightning and thunder, so I didn't dare go out fishing. But it's about 11:15 right now, and we're just heading to the lake. The weather's cleared up quite a bit. It's still kind of sprinkling and stuff, but it's supposed to be really windy out of the west-southwest today, and it is. You know, I'm covered by trees right here driving to the lake, but I'm still kind of getting blown around. So we're probably going to go hide behind some bridges and fish bridges like we did last week. That's kind of where I've been finding a decent amount of fish or whatever. But it's probably the safest place to be on a day like today, because if you get back into the bays and the creeks and stuff like that, there's a lot of stumps and stuff with the wind blowing. You can't see them until you hit them, and I don't want to, you know, scratch and mark up the boat. So we're going to hide behind some bridges. 2 of them for sure. We maybe run down to a different one as well. We're going to try them out and see if we can't catch any fish. Probably going to be using a drop shot and shaky head. And even a football jig. I started using a football jig last week and started getting some bites doing that. So we'll shake it up a little bit. So we'll see once we get to the dock and get in the boat. All right, made it on the water, and for once the weatherman was right. It got pretty calm out, and now it's getting upward in temperature. I'm sweating with this stuff on, but I got to keep my rain pants on because everything in the boat is soaked. So when I sit down, I don't get wet or whatever. But I think I'm gonna shed this, get rid of this sweatshirt for sure after we make a run. We're gonna run south a few miles here, fish a different creek that I just kind of figured, or not really figured out, just happened to be in the other day, and it looked pretty good. So caught one fish in there, so we're gonna go back and try it. Another thing, I noticed there wasn't many questions on last week's video. I don't know if nobody watched it all the way through, but this week we're gonna try it again, see what happens. If not much interest, then we won't do it. But a Q&A session. If you guys want to leave some questions below, and then on next week's video I'll answer them on the video. I think it'll be fun to get more interaction in the channel and stuff like that. So stop what you're doing right now, go down below, pause this video, go down below and leave a question, and I'll answer it in next week's video. I think it'll be fun to get more interaction on the channel. Like I said, I don't know, I did it at the end of last week's vlog, and I don't know if many people watched it that far in the video, which is fine, but just want to do it right away in the beginning before we start fishing or anything. Go stop what you're doing right now, go down, leave a comment. I think it'll be fun. So hope you guys do that, and look forward to reading a bunch of comments and answering them next week. But we're gonna make a run here and see if we can't catch some fish. Cast going up on this bridge. First place we went to this morning didn't really pan out. Went back to an old familiar bridge here. That one's beat up. Good fish. Again, we're back on that shaky head. And that was my first cast in there. I drug it about maybe 10 feet and thumped it hard. So I noticed there's a lot of shad in here. There's a lot shallower. I've seen shad up at 14 feet there, which isn't really happening yet, and they're really low to the ground, so I don't know if that has anything to do with them feeding off the bottom, but maybe we'll get some more here. About 20 minutes with no bite on the shaky head, and then I tried a football jig and nothing, but went back to the old trusty drop shot. Second cast with it up against that bank. Nothing huge, but getting bit. So just those 2 fish over here, so we're gonna move to the other side of the bridge here and see if we can't get some bites, and maybe even try a little crappie fishing while we're out here. I got some stuff. I watched some guys catch them the other day, and they were telling me how they were catching them. So maybe we can get lucky here. Who knows? Let's give it a try. That was a good bite. Shoot! That was a really nice bite. And usually when I set the hook and pull, the fish comes with, but that one stayed steady. And my line broke right at the hook. Well, probably not going to get that fish again, but we'll retie and throw back in there and see if he'll hit again, because I don't think I stuck in that good, so we'll find out here in a minute. They're deep. That front. 3 feet of water underneath that bridge. Big ones down there chasing them. You know, it just goes to show, when I lost that other one, you know, I know it was a bigger fish than what I've been catching. I don't think it was as big as that 7-pounder I caught last week, but check your line more. I get in a bad habit of that, especially on a drop shot, because you know I've been catching some smaller fish on it, but make sure you check your line, because the time comes and you lose a big one, and it's all because you didn't take the extra time to check a little nick here, a little nick there. You know, the more serious you get about fishing, the more you'll need bigger fish in the boats. There's a tip for you. So yeah, I got blown off the lake there and tried crappie fishing for about 15 minutes, and the wind was blowing me hard. So I decided to come back and fish this other bridge. Well, I didn't even get back. I got soaked. The waves are basically out of the straight west, and I was heading north and south, so it was just hammering sideways. So I think they're gonna call that a day. That was really tough. I didn't expect to catch a whole bunch just because it was after that front. But the drop shot produced most of them again. As you've seen, you got that one on the shaky head. But like I mentioned last time, this is a new worm I've been trying out by V&M. It's called the Trickster, and it's 6.5 inches. And this one is watermelon red flake, and you know it sticks off quite a ways off this hook, but like I said, I've been able to catch a bunch of small ones on it, and you know, a few nice fish on it, even though that's a pretty long worm, I think, to be fishing on drop shot. But that, like I said, I dipped in JJ's Magic, and this is a 1/2 ounce Sure Set drop shot weight. And I want to talk about those hooks. Like I said, I've been trying these out. These are they are called standout hooks. That's what the package is. That's what it looks like. And I'll take this one off here and show you, but it's a funky design. I've seen them on TV. We just wasn't able to find them back home. But that'll stay. So then here it is. This is all, if you can see that, but there's the unit right there. So the barb comes down like a normal hook, and that's where you'd think you'd normally tie. Like I told you guys before, I tie that uni knot so the hook stays straight out. Well, now it's got this eye loop thing down here,
And so I've been tying a Palomar knot through there and then leaving a decent tag line and running that tag line through that loop there. And so when you tighten it up and the weight, you know, the weight sits on the bottom, you tighten it up to jiggle it, that thing sits, it stands out just like the name of it says. And so that's a newer hook that the guy at the local bait shop down here was telling me about. And like I said, I'll try about anything when it comes to fishing. Just give it a whirl and see if it works for me. And that so far has been good. And I would have had that other bigger one if I, like I said before, you make sure you check your knots. And I'm not sure the brand name. I don't think it really matters, the brand name, but I got these down here at Academy, and this is that shaky head. Now this is the flat-sided shaky head with the screw lock, and then this is the Zoom trick worm. This is green pumpkin with black flake. Again, I dipped the tail in that JJ's Magic stuff. Had a bunch of it spill all over today. Not in the boat, not on the boat, but in the container. So that was a mess. I got it on my fingers, but I like this one just by how flat it is. And then I'll end up, if it's shallow enough, I'll pop it through and bounce it like a normal jig. But when it's deeper and I know there's some rocks and stuff, I'll just slowly drag it. Now I want to find some of these, like I said before, I want to find some of these in a heavier ounce. This is a 1/4 ounce, and I like bigger jig heads and stuff. I like keeping bottom contact when I'm using a jig and stuff, so it helps me feel and everything like that. So it's like I said, I've caught a lot of fish on the shaky head, but I would want to upsize this. And like I said, this thing makes then the worm will stand up like that. But I want to upsize a 1/2 ounce, you know, even a 3/4 ounce. That sounds pretty big, but when I'm fishing 20 feet of water, I want this thing to get down quickly, and I want to be able to just drag it and dum 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 as it popping along the rocks. And then if it slides up and hits something, and then I'll shake the rod tip and then kind of wiggle this tail. You know, if it slides up against something, shake it, and then I'll pop it. And I've got a lot of bites on the shake, and then if there's not the shake, and when I pop it over, you know, because it kind of slides and it'll get stuck here. When I shake it, that tail will dance, and then when I pop it, this thing goes doop, and then it'll come on top of that piece of structure, and that tail will stand up. And when I pop it over, I'll either get the bite on the reaction pop, or once it hits, I'll get bit, because then that tail kind of flutters down, or the fish is looking at it. He's seen that tail wiggle, and then you pop it and you just suck it in. So I've got a lot of bites on that. Become more and more confident in the shaky head, and I said, you know, like I said, if I can get some bigger shaky heads, you know, 1/2 ounce, 3/4, something like that, I think I'll even be able to use it a lot deeper. When I'm fishing, it was, you know, 5 to 10 feet. It was good. I can keep good contact, but then again, when it's really windy out, it's really tough to keep bottom contact with it. But again, on that drop shot rod, this is a Gander Mountain Angler Series. It's a walleye rod. It's 7-1 medium action rod with a fast action tip. This is the large series of Fluger President spinning reel. This is a limited edition with 8 or 10 pound Power Pro yellow line on there for visibility. And then I got a 4 or 5 foot Seaguar 12 pound fluorocarbon leader on there with that standout hook. And again, this is not a shaky head rod. I guess it's supposed to be a dock skipping rod that I got, but haven't been fishing much for docks here on Lake Fork. So this is a 6 foot medium action Gander Mountain Advantage Series with the large style Fluger President on there. This is 20 pound Power Pro. Like again, it's supposed to be in a red color, but it's pink now because the sun got it. And I got about, this is about 6-7 foot 20 pound Seaguar fluorocarbon leader on there. So those are the 2 things I caught fish on today. Like I said, those funky looking hooks, and then these V&M Trickster worms have been doing pretty well for me. Like I said, I didn't expect to catch too much today, but I had to give it a try, see if I can figure it out. And I figured something out. You know, the shad, there was no shad on top of the water column where there was the last few days with this storm rolling through. All the shad went right down at the bottom, and so the fish were naturally, you know, relating to the bottom. I didn't catch much very deep, or very shallow, I should say. That one bite on the shaky head was probably still in about 10-12 feet. Where before, when the shad are feeding higher, I was catching them right along the bank in about 5 to 6 feet of water by the bridges, and then you'd catch some off deeper as well because they kind of come and go. But now that the shad are relating closer to the bottom, I think the fish are off deeper. So that's kind of what I figured out today, even though I only caught a few fish. But it was windy, and on the way back, like I said, I got really soaked. Got drenched by a big wave. So now we're gonna fill up with some gas. Got all the rods put away, boat wiped down. Fill up with some gas here and head back to the house. Like I said, got some gas. Heading back to the house. It was tough, you know, but like I said before, with that front, and these are Florida strain bass that they have here in Lake Fork. So from what I've read and talked to people, Florida strain bass really don't handle cold fronts that well, and so when they come in, they really shut down because they're not made for it or whatever. But they, on the other hand, they also grow a lot faster than a normal strain like we have back up north in North Dakota and Minnesota. So it's a give and take, but there wasn't even that many people out there fishing today, dude. That it was a Monday, but this lake usually gets fished, you know, quite a bit, even though during the weekdays. And I didn't see many people fishing bass. There's only a couple people fishing crappies, but I think this weather front that came in today, where it rained, like I said, till about 10, 11 o'clock, really hurt them, you know. And so there was a few people around the bridges and stuff, but I didn't see them catching any crappies either. And usually last week when the bass were biting good, the guys that were fishing next to the pillars catching crappies were doing pretty well too. So I think it's kind of a give and take like that. But so yeah, I think this is probably where we're gonna end the vlog. Not much happened today, but like I said right away in the beginning, please leave a question down below. Like I said, I want to increase the interaction in the channel, and I'll leave a question and I'll answer it on next week's vlog. Do a little question and answer session or whatever in next week's vlog. But here in a week or two, somewhere in there, I'm going to be heading back home for Christmas, for the latter half of December for Christmas, and be home for January, and possibly come back down for February and March, because down here they start kicking off their tournament trails and stuff in February. They kind of take January off, so I want to try and get back down and possibly fish some more down here, while like up there, you know, there's snow and ice, you know, most of at least to April on the main lakes and stuff like that. So, but hopefully I'll be able to fish some tournaments next year. I had signed up. Haven't got the for sure yet if I'm getting in or not, but I signed up for some FLW tournaments, or the BFLs. It's the Bass Fishing League of the FLW. So it's more local stuff, and I hope to be fishing the Great Lakes Division out of Wisconsin and stuff. So if I get into all those tournaments in April, it'll be the first tournament of the year for me. So that's why I'll be heading back, you know, mid-March or something, if I do decide to come back down to Texas and fish tournaments. So got a lot of stuff planned, and hopefully meet some other people while I'm down here and talk to them. There's a possibility of doing, I want to do some guiding next summer in between tournaments and stuff to get some money, but also be able to continue to fish. And so bring both of those together, making money and fishing. You know, I'll be able to guide some people in the probably around the Detroit Lakes area, stuff like that, if I'm able to. So I'm hopefully going to meet with a couple guides this week down here in Texas around Lake Fork, and kind of ask them how they run their business and stuff. So get some behind the scenes information from them. So hopefully I'll be able to do some guiding this summer. So there's a little plug for that if it ever happens. But I'll let you guys know
what's going on with that. So, but in other words, I want to thank you guys for watching. I know today's wasn't very exciting, but I take you with me every Monday. So this week Monday wasn't near exciting as it was last week, but that's fishing. That's how it works. So can't really blame that. You just gotta roll with the punches. So I want to thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for later this week. We got another hunting video coming out on Friday. Tune in later this week for that hunting video, and thanks for watching Preston Outdoors.